was made of the president's comments about India. We were trying to figure it out exactly what, and it's obviously negotiating and leverage and everything else. And we've heard that we're close with India, and that's one of the majors, other than China, that are left. What was the president's intent yesterday with some of those comments about India? And do you expect something to happen before the deadline?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be up to India. India came to the table early. They've been slow rolling things. So I think that the president, the whole trade team's a bit frustrated with them. And also, India's been a large buyer of sanctioned Russian oil that they then resell as refined products. So, they have not been a great global actor.
In the wake of those comments and the Truth Social statement by President Donald Trump about India not being an important trade partner for the United States, the Indian government has struck back by officially declining to purchase America's vaunted fifth-generation F-35 Lightning II warplane. Instead, India will purchase Russia's fifth-generation Su-57 warplane. And now there are rumors that India is interested in getting back at the Americans by getting closer to the Chinese as well. Some are suggesting that India might start trading in China's currency, the yuan, and may even embrace the budding BRICS currency, which would be a clear blow to the United States' dollar dominance. Now, how did we get here? Let's go back a little bit, okay? Just a few months ago, President Donald Trump and India's Prime Minister Modi were backslapping each other at the White House. Modi even came out to the U.S. and gave a campaign speech for then candidate Donald Trump toward the end of the 2024 campaign. And just how important is India really in the grand scheme of America's global trading profile? To help us unpack these developments, as well as why President Donald Trump's approval numbers are tanking, we're joined by our friend, the executive director of the American Conservative, Kurt Mills. It's good to see you, Kurt. I think a lot of Americans look at this news about India, and there's really not even that much news about it, right? Let's be honest. It doesn't get a lot of coverage. And then some Americans will probably just glaze over if they hear it because they don't understand why it matters. Is this truly a big deal in the grand scheme of things? And this is kind of a big turn. Remember when Modi was trying to make himself look like the Trump of India? So how much does this matter, Kurt?
I think it is a big turn. So Modi came to power in 2014, and a lot of people sort of mark it as the beginning of the rise of right-wing populism writ large. And Modi has gone out of his way throughout his political career, particularly in Trump's first term, to sort of build ties to the American right. He did a major rally in Houston, Texas, I believe, in the late 2010s. And so this is a bit of a volte-face from both the White House and New Delhi. What I'll say on this writ large is that Trump and his team have specifically flagged sort of a curious amount of times the earlier sort of the India-Pakistan quasi-war that happened this year. And Trump and his team sort of in the dark of night successfully negotiated a ceasefire or armistice, whatever you call it, in that. And so there is a view that in that war that perhaps the Indians were overly provocative, that actually that they were the less reasonable party, that Pakistan really wasn't as aggressive as India, and so perhaps left a bad taste in the mouth of the administration. And finally, though, Trump just seems so frustrated with the Russians, and you heard it from Secretary Bessent there. He thinks the Russians want to prolong the war. He's not wrong, and so there is a concern now that the frustration of the Russians could actually seep out into other relationships. I'm not myself the biggest fan of the Indian state, but the idea of actually caring about whether or not the Indians refine Russian oil, I don't think this is really an American concern. So it's a curious move by the administration.
There is some suggestion that Trump is actually doing a turn towards Pakistan, right, with the finding of recent minerals, oil reserves that Trump thinks could be more lucrative for the United States. Do you think that factors into this decision?
Possibly. I mean, the problem with the minerals thing is that it's always a sort of a jewel that is dangled in front of the president's face, and it's not super clear.
That's true.
How it's so I mean, Ukraine, there's a minerals deal. Good luck opening up a mine that works in a war zone. Afghanistan, Lindsey Graham pulled this out to try to convince him from not pulling out of Afghanistan. We are 4 years now this month from the withdrawal in Afghanistan. Other massive mineral mines going on in Afghanistan. Not even the Chinese have gone in there. Not even the Russians have really gone in there, and they know it pretty well and just recognize the Taliban. So I'm always sort of skeptical of minerals claims. It's a greedy world, and if people want to get the resources, I think they'll find a way no matter the governing structure. So it's possible. Pakistan's politics are extremely complex. It's basically a sort of paranoid military intelligence dictatorship. They have jailed the opposition leader Imran Khan, the former cricket star, and the current government is generally seen as probably more CIA friendly, et cetera, et cetera. So it's an easy partner to turn to if you want to. But I just don't know why the administration wouldn't try to maintain a more neutral pose, not towards the Indians and not particularly towards this current Pakistani government, as opposed to, letting everything be filtered through the myopia of your current frustrations with Vladimir Putin.
Are you calling Pakistan possibly a CIA proxy state like Ukraine?
ISI is a real intelligence service. It's probably the Pakistani military intelligence. It's probably a top 5 most fearsome intelligence in the world. Wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of them. There are all kinds of capacities that Pakistan have, but India is obviously a much larger economy and a much larger population, and so I think it's a sort of messed up place. Frankly, there's all these reasons why it hasn't developed as quickly as China, but you just sort of wholesale throw the relationship out because they buy Russian oil. Of course, they're going to buy Russian oil. It's that part of the world.
You talked about the complexity of the Pakistani political landscape, and it is quite volatile. You noted that they did actually jail the former leader Imran Khan, right? It's one of those stories we talk about when we limp into when we're, discussing the situation in Brazil with Bolsonaro. I mean, Khan was seen more as a populist option for Pakistan as well, right? I've actually heard that Trump thinks he can break Khan out of jail and stabilize Pakistan's very tenuous political climate. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, it's curious. Khan became a bit of a cause celeb, maybe a micro celebrity on the populist right in the Biden years. One of the people that was sort of vetting him is the now State Department official Darren Beattie. He did an interview with him on Revolver News. Imran Khan himself did an interview during the first Trump administration and talked about, why is the U.S. occupying Afghanistan? The subway in New York doesn't even work that well. This is sort of like, this is manna from heaven for people who like global populist critiques. So, Khan would seem the more natural ally of Trump, to sort of embrace the more establishment government in Pakistan is unusual, especially because it's not established. And again, I don't know that it isn't a great relationship there, but it's not known that he has a great relationship with the leadership of Pakistan. Erdogan, for Erdogan are low-key pretty close. So that always has explanatory power.
Right. Speaking of the Middle East region, I do want to get to Trump and Israel. President Trump is exacerbating the trade war with Canada because of Canada's insistence on recognizing the Palestinian state. You actually had something to say about this, but first, this is what Trump said. He said, quote, "Wow, Canada has just announced that it is backing statehood for Palestine. That will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them." He can disagree, but does this really have anything to do with U.S.-Canada trade? Because this seems maybe potentially a little more Israel first than, say, America first, or it could be seen that way.
It's not great, and it's Israel and to a lesser extent Epstein are choking everything right now for the administration. It's what I'm hearing. It's what I think, it's dominating conversations, their ability to focus on anything else. It's like any human organization is being limited and curtailed by this. So it's very unfortunate. And for Trump to specifically cite that, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada's, first of all, it's a conditional recognition. It wasn't a full recognition, a conditional recognition of the Palestinian state in the abstract, letting him affect that. The negotiations with Canada, which frankly matter a ton. I mean, I mean, those are it's the U.S. leading trading partner. That the fact that Israel should be anywhere near the considerations on this is super unfortunate, and it's why I think you continue to see that Trump has, not wholesale liability, but partial liability with his base on this, because it just lends him, as you allude to the criticism of that he's Israel first, or he's make Israel great again, not make America great again. And it's unfortunate. And I do think also, finally, Carney is driving a hard bargain compared to the Europeans. I think Trump is sort of interested, but even apprehensive of Carney. Basically, he gave a sweetheart deal to the UK. Keir Starmer tried basically supplicancy. He just sucked up to him and it worked. The Europeans basically capitulated. The Canadians are driving a hard bargain, and now he's reaching for the Israel lever. And it's not very charismatic, in my opinion.
Well, and it's obviously not working in the polling, right? Because we've had Rasmussen on twice this week to discuss, and they're very concerned about the polling. They do share their polling, I know at least this passed around the White House, right?
Yep.
And I think often they're asked about it. And it's just not playing very well in the polls. And like you said, it's unfortunate because there is so much good economic news, great growth numbers this week, able to announce a slew of trade deals, which I noted at the top of the show, before the deadline today on the tariffs, right? And there's a lot of good things going on, but this is keeping his numbers down. It's kind of overshadowing what he's doing. I was asked by someone yesterday if I thought Trump could turn it around. I said yes. I think this is a very big messaging faux pas. No matter how they dealt with the release of the files, how they rolled it out or didn't, I think the messaging could have been handled in a completely different way that would have resulted in less fallout. So I'll pass that question on to you, Kurt, because I'm not sure I really articulated it well enough, or maybe answered it well enough. Do you think Trump can turn this around?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's been a slow. It's been very fast, actually. I meant to say it's been 45 days. It's been since the 13-day war, or the 12-day war that started on Friday the 13th of June, and it has been Trump has kind of veered from his core pledges of immigration restraint or immigration restriction, trade, patriotism, and foreign policy restraint. And I think that's what you're seeing here. Trump or any Republican president can maintain poll support into the 30s, but the kind of thing that galvanizes any White House, the kind of thing that gives any president real national, international heft, is support into the 40s, into the 50s, which Trump, when he was inaugurated, he had all the CEOs in the front line, seemingly paying fealty to him. You're not seeing that now. You're seeing a tridding of major celebrity support. Elon Musk, say what you will for him, major supporter. Joe Rogan, say what you will for him. That's the kind of person you want on your side, not against you. He's very frustrated on the Israel stuff. So my suggestion to the president, and I've made it pretty clear, is you got to drop the Israel stuff. It's not popular. Netanyahu's support is in the gutter. This is just a complete political liability. And frankly, Netanyahu capsized the Biden administration. People forget the protests in the spring of 24 around the graduations around colleges. That was the beginning of the end for Biden. And it would be a shame if it was the beginning of the end for Trump as well, and for this Republican administration.
Well, and this is also where, look, we're already talking about 2026, and after we get through August recess and we come back into the fall, that conversation will only ramp up. And right now, this is going to dominate the Democrats' platform, right? And we are seeing, I think Rasmussen said yesterday, there's, a trend towards Democrats as we head into 26. And that does obviously bring up another interesting topic out of what will likely be, it's gearing up to be a very vicious gubernatorial race in Florida between Representative Byron Donalds and possibly Casey DeSantis. She's definitely been giving, little head nods here and there to her possible run. Kurt, is this fight for the future of MAGA and the GOP already underway today? And how do you see this playing out in Florida? Because Florida's been a very interesting state that, we've been watching so intensely since 2020, specifically when DeSantis kind of surged to the front of the national conversation and then, of course, led to his failed primary bid.
Where I see the future of Florida? It's very interesting because
this race and,
Oh, this race. I mean, DeSantis is interesting because, he's reported as basically, a paired item with his wife, that his wife wanted him to run for president as much as he did in 2024, which was obviously a catastrophic error for his political career. It's a question of what DeSantis wants to do. I mean, Ron DeSantis, I should say, seems to enjoy being governor of Florida, and he's term limited. And so, his wife taking over and being heir apparent, and then them kind of closing the chapter on an imminent presidential run in 28, that might be the savvy thing for them. And they just, the DeSantis kind of run Florida for a 16-year period. And frankly, DeSantis is one of the best governors of the country, if not the best governor in the country. And so it could be very rational if it's a sort of just, rolling thing of family members running for stuff and, vague presidential aspirations. It doesn't really seem to suit him. It doesn't really seem to suit what people like about him, which is hyper disciplined and intense and no nonsense. Even this sort of like soft launch for her campaign feels it's a little silly, like get in or not.
Well, does he have some people suggest he killed his political future with running against President Donald Trump, and there wasn't great optics. The campaign was not ran well, right? I don't think. It's not great optics. So if Casey gets in, does he have a political future now? And then let's say, second part of that question, if Casey gets in and this doesn't go well, that would be the nail in the coffin for him, right? And for them, because like you said, they come as a pair.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been great reporting on it that basically even his days as a congressman, the now First Lady of Florida was basically the one who talked to a lot of the donors, did a lot of the sort of small chit chat socializing. So there clearly seems to be an issue of his introversion. I heard this for years, and frankly, I'll just disclose I had dinner with him in late 21, and he seemed eminently normal to me. Not necessarily a charismatic dynamo, but basically socially affable enough. But clearly, by the time he got in the campaign in 23, very unusual. And frankly, presidents are generally extroverts. Leaders are generally extroverts. And the grand stage of, especially as America has become sort of grand imperial theater, it might not make sense for him. And the greatest attribute in life is to know thyself. And so I think he probably does, but he has this confounding variable. I don't want to speculate on marriage, but it just seems like, by all reporting, the wife is this sort of driving force for things that might not necessarily be prudent for their enterprise.
Yeah, I think you're right. I haven't met him in person, but sometimes during this presidential run, as a governor, it's good to see him, the no nonsense. But in a presidential run, it kind of comes off a different way, doesn't it? You kind of have to have the mix of the charisma and then the governing no nonsense ability.
It can work in certain. I mean, sometimes I think people like Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Donald Trump could probably get elected in most atmospheres. But if the country was in crisis, if the country was in massive unemployment, or there was an attack, or even a pandemic, maybe a real pandemic, there might be actually a call for someone like him, someone who's more brusque, someone who's more militaristic. We mentioned him earlier. Mark Carney himself has never run for anything, and Canada felt it was in crisis with Donald Trump, and they elected someone like that. What the actual term for DeSantis, and I'm sure he would kind of shrink from this, is he's a technocrat. He's very capable. He's extremely tactically brilliant, but he's not strategically brilliant. And so I think he would be very circumstantially dependent. The idea of him just running any random presidential race, I don't think suits him.
Yeah, I think as the gubernatorial race heats up, we'll be covering a lot of Florida. We have a lot of Florida viewers, and we do keep our eye on Florida specifically. And then we'll also be watching how the White House responds, if at all, to this polling as it relates to Israel Epstein, and if they kind of change course as we head into September, when the president's, the rest of his term is on the line with the midterms, right? If Democrats take control, there'll probably be another impeachment, and it'll just be like deja vu. So it's absolutely, it could be a pivotal point for him. Thank you so much, Kurt Mills. This was fun to catch up and kind of do the tour de force of geopolitics and domestic politics.
Thank you, Emerald.
Thank you. And speaking of elections, even more information about the 2020 election is coming out, forthcoming, but more evidence from Michigan as well. We go there next after the break.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer.
Really? Cisa is reportedly getting gutted, according to Laura Loomer, who has become, honestly, the de facto unofficial vetting department of the second Trump administration. And it's about time for the agency that brought you the most unsecure election in history, also for the agency that organized a secret meeting on November 3rd, 2020 by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency as part of a secret, quote-unquote, election security initiative. That's according to this email recently obtained by election integrity activist Yehuda Miller as part of a FOIA request. And guess who just happened to be on that guest list? Why, Smartmatic, of course. And here, I thought that Smartmatic had nothing to do with U.S. elections outside of LA County in 2020 or so. You know, that's what we've been repeatedly told. Expect more to come on that front very, very soon. And then we're 5 years removed from the 2020 election. Every day we find more evidence of the cheating that took place that election cycle. Case in point, this newly released video we briefly showed you yesterday showing how poll watchers and challengers were locked out of the infamous TCF Center in Detroit in November 2020. And I say infamous because TCF Center was ground zero for the 2020 steal, as these archived headlines from one of the few outlets that were willing to report the truth about the subject, the Gateway Pundit, shows. It was the site of late-night ballot drops to the tune of tens of thousands of ballots. It was unverified. It was where unverified ballots were allegedly run through the machines and where a whistleblower provided proof of electronic voting machines being connected to the internet. Joining us now is the woman behind this exclusive new footage named Lori Skibo. She's the GOP chair of Michigan District 9, and our friend Braden Jacobazi. He's the vice chair of Michigan District 9. Thank you. And he's also the election expert, I'll add, from the MFEI Deep Team. It's good to see you both. Lori, it's a pleasure to meet you. Immediately, you know, this footage was flagged for me because, as you all know, I've been doing a very long and deep thread on my X laying out what happened basically leading up to 2020, right, and been taking us through 2020. And this is something that I'll add in as it relates to Michigan. Tell us about this footage. Walk us through it, Lori, and thank you both for being here again.
Air that video for us. Again, I'm Lori Skibo. I live here in the 9th Congressional District in the state of Michigan. I was an election poll challenger in Detroit on election night, early morning of the next day. I was called. I was actually a volunteer for the John James campaign. I was supposed to be challenging in Flint, Michigan. Instead, I got the call in the early morning, forget Flint, Lori, get to Detroit, something's happening. So by the time that I got there early on Wednesday morning following that, the video that you see there is the video of us actually. I myself never made it into the room where I had a legal and lawful right to be as a poll challenger, as a credential poll challenger for the Michigan Republican Party. Instead, there's the view that I had was from outside cut up pizza boxes that they were kind enough to do little slits for me to do my job, my legal job that I was supposed to be doing on the inside. Never making it in, the only thing that I could do is I started calling anyone that I knew from the outside and telling them to also get to Detroit. At the end of the video, you start to see that by that time, they'd already even closed the outside doors, not even letting anyone inside of the building any longer at all. And so I just took the video, started making phone calls and trying to call attorneys, anybody that I knew with inside the party that was going to hopefully come in and help us.
Why are you deciding to release this video now, Lori?
We have an election, a primary election here in Michigan on Tuesday. Both myself and Braden will be election day poll challengers. Actually, we're not challenging. We're working this time. So it's a little bit different. This is my first time as an actual poll worker instead of a challenger inside of Detroit. And this isn't really about history. It's not necessarily looking back. I really wanted this video to serve as a warning. Nothing has changed here in Michigan. We have the exact same people in power today as we did then, and they're playing by the exact same corrupt rules. And I think by taking a look back, that nothing has changed here in Michigan. We're in the exact same place as where we were 5 years ago.
And that is my concern as well, Braden, is that we are literally in the same place. It's not just Michigan, okay? It's all over. I do hope that's going to change. And that does bring us to this Michigan thread that I'm doing, item number 13, so pretty close to the top. There's a lot we already knew on that day, right, that has not been resolved yet. For instance, by mid-November 2020, public network scans of Dominion voting machines, which are what Michigan uses, made by military intel analysts were available through legal filings in Michigan. While the documents revealed about elections, America's election systems, I said, was damning. There's Exhibit 105 of the Michigan filing from these analysts. And it shows that countries or groups that were at least in our system, and now that's been further verified. We have more evidence of this for countries like Serbia, Iran, China, and then they added Canada. That's not, per se what I've seen, but I would say definitely Serbia, Iran, and China, Braden. So this doesn't position not just Michigan, but the country very well if the elections were held today.
Well, so you've just brought up a lot of good points, and you're talking about the great work of Sheriff Dar Leaf, who has been working very diligently on this, despite all of the pushback that he gets from the Attorney General here and a lot of public officials, including the Secretary of State, who you will remember is claiming that Michigan is ranked number 2 as far as election integrity, including transparency goes. And you just listed off a whole bunch of things that need to be investigated, not to mention our voter rolls, our qualified voter rolls, and all of the election data, which never adds up. When you look at the local, the county, and the state level data, they never add up. We certify these elections allegedly, right? But when we do that, we don't bother to care that none of the data from one place to another matches each other. And so when we claim that things have changed since 2020, it's hard to make that claim. And in fact, you'll find out that things have actually gotten worse in a lot of ways, right? Even though things go a lot better and it's a lot more tame inside the room, the workers are doing okay. But at the state level, with the leadership, with people like Jocelyn Benson, when you look at the data, they're corrupting the data more and more, and they're splitting it up into a Frankenstein monster. So instead of giving us the data we want, they're splitting up simple files that used to give us a large part of what we need. And when we try and work with them, they remove data. They make it more inaccessible. They make it more convoluted so that we have to stitch a bunch of files together and hope that we're doing it right, like a sadistic art project. So the problems in Michigan, as far as the data goes, have gotten much worse and not better.
That's not very encouraging at all. What do you hear from your constituent, or the people in your district, Lori? I mean, I would imagine there's more voices than just you and Braden out there, right? I know Patrick Holback in Michigan. I know there's a great group of people in Michigan, but are the broader citizenry aware of these problems?
I would tell you it is still the number one concern that I hear across my district and across the state. Election integrity has not gone anywhere, and the Jocelyn Benson, it failed Michigan voters in 2020. She's now wants a promotion. She's out there campaigning to run for governor for 2026, when in fact, she has done nothing to solve any of the problems that we had in 2020. And she's just hoping that we forget what has happened under her watch. We haven't. We are going to continue this. We have only gotten stronger here in the state of Michigan. We had a long way to go. I know it's been a long 5 years. However, we are building an army, and we are going to be watching every single action that in the upcoming election on Tuesday. I just want to point this out. This is when we're in Detroit. They have a mayoral race that's happening. It's going to be a Democrat that's going to win that. We're not there pushing Republican candidates through or trying to make Republican candidates. We're there to protect the people of the city of Detroit, to make sure that their primaries are ran so that they get an actual candidate on the November election that truly won their primary and that represents who they truly want inside of their own offices. So this is not even about politics. This is about fair and free elections and making sure that all people have the representation that they're actually choosing when they go to the ballots to the polls that day.
Yeah, what you're going to find. What you find in the voter rolls, to Lori's point, is that in Detroit, you're getting numerically the highest amount of disenfranchisement is among urban voters, because that's where the city centers are, that's where a lot of the people are. And when you look at the data, and when you're looking at local and county and state data, and it doesn't add up, those people are getting hurt just like everybody else, right? This doesn't have anything to do with Republican or Democrat or anything like that. This has to do with a free and fair and honest election, and nobody is getting that right now, least of which would be the urban voters in Detroit.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And look, here's the thing. I feel like a lot of people in the election security movement, there's a lot of talk about the big elections, right? The big generals elections. And you kind of have to get very niche. You got to get with the hardcore people, right? Like us, to talk about the primaries. Because we have found there's equally, sometimes if not more, even problems in the primary. And I found this particularly, you're talking about the Detroit mayoral race, and I can imagine there's probably a lot of problems there. Even though it's going to be a Democrat, right? But we found that in a lot of states like Georgia for their primaries, right? Very red states on the Republican primary as well. So I think it's so important that you all are talking about this. And it's not even just your party. You're talking about protecting everyone's rights, no matter what party you're with.
And every election. Every election, Braden and I, not only do we work obviously inside of the general and the primary, but this is something that we've been pushing inside of our own party at our own convention elections. We are staunch on election processes that are standardized, that are consistent, and that are always fair, regardless of who's putting those elections on. So this is not something that we're projecting onto Democrats that we ourselves are not making sure are happening inside of our own party as well.
I do want to get to something just to wrap up 2020 a little bit, because since this has not been resolved and dealt with, I'm very worried about any forthcoming elections in Detroit specifically. And this is going back to 2020 when Bill Barr, remember there was these footage of the vans coming in and dropping ballots? But Bill Barr, the former Attorney General, he's central to all this, and I think we're going to find out a lot about him, said this was entirely normal. Nothing to see here. Is that the case, Braden?
Well, when you show up in the middle of the night with a van full of ballots and nobody knows what's going on and nobody's willing to answer any questions about it, and all of a sudden all the votes change at the end of the night, and spikes one direction. I would say that that's worthy of investigation. And up until now, we haven't had that. And Bill Barr certainly didn't seem to help us at all with any of that. So it would be nice to speak to him about that.
I just highly doubt that you're going to get that opportunity, but I would love, Braden, if you did. I have quite a few questions for Bill Barr myself. And what is ironic, and not a lot of people know, is that he actually went out and launched a election integrity group with some other questionable characters, Right USA. So it's just, I'll just say that's funny. I don't even have anything to add to that. That's just so ironic.
Well, what makes
Lori,
what makes it oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
What makes it difficult is that everybody's trapped in their own data silo. So certain people are watching Fox News and they get one story, certain people are watching CNN, and then certain people are watching you. And so when we talk to each other, this is the way that people like Jocelyn Benson want things to be. They want us fighting each other because we're getting different versions of the truth. And there's only one actual truth, but everybody's being told a different version. And one of them is a lie, or many of them are lies, and one of them is the truth. And so they think they're getting the truth from CNN. They think they're getting the truth from just watching Fox News, but in reality, they're missing a whole bunch. So then when we talk to each other, we all think we're lying to each other. And that's what's creating this problem. Good people on all sides who are being fed misinformation, and then we end up fighting each other rather than the people at the top who are causing this problem.
So let me ask you, do we solve this perhaps? I think that's a very valid point. Do we solve this by the administration releasing a very detailed intelligence report on exactly how our voting systems work and all? I mean, we're talking about all facets plus, the mail-in ballot problems. A real intelligence product to the to the people. Of course, they have to redact certain things or, protect certain sources and methods, and we understand that. But is that what it takes, something from the very top that is an honest product to get it to break through the channels, whether it's CNN or it's us, what do you think?
Well, every psychological experiment that you ever see will show that if people are led to do a certain thing by somebody that they believe is in an authority, right, they will do bad things. And so this has to start or stop with the leadership of the Secretary of State, the Governor, and the Attorney General, who are complicit or at least condoning this by tacitly agreeing that this is okay by not pursuing any legal avenues here. When clearly there's more evidence of this crime or problem than any other crime in history, as far as I can see, and as far as you can see when you actually look at the data. But instead of trying to resolve this, they obfuscate and put roadblocks in the way. And we need people like Donald Trump and the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, Bongino. We need people to come in here and actually properly vet this. But instead, right now, all we're getting in Michigan is more chaos, where they're trying to introduce ranked choice voting, which creates more chaos in the system, and this will disenfranchise far more people on both sides of the aisle. And so we really need, this is a plea to President Trump and the Department of Justice to please come in here and give us some kind of an investigation into this. Because when we saw things like Muskegon, that got thrown under the rug, right? Nobody has ever really investigated that, including our Attorney General and the President yet.
That's a great point. They need to come in and they need to investigate. I think you're absolutely right. A lot of them watch this show, so we hope that suggestion is heard. Lori, you'll be on the ground on Tuesday. I hope you'll give us a report afterwards on what you see, because it'll matter for the next set of elections.
I'm looking forward to it. You can count on it. I'll be doing everything that I can to make sure that there's a fair and free election in the city of Detroit for their city mayoral race, and all of the citizens that's going to matter to.
Thank you both for what you do. And look, let's touch back after this election. Thank you for bringing that exclusive video here. I think it was important for everyone to see, and we're sharing it around. So go on socials. You can see that video and share it from my social, from Braden's social, from Lori's social. Thanks for putting that out there for us, Lori, and dropping the receipts. We need that. We need that. I'll add it to my thread, and I appreciate the both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us again. Thank you.
Speaking of that kind of intelligence, there's actually people in the swamp blocking that information from reaching the intelligence community at large. I have a specific person in mind. I'll share with you after this break.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally. The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysis are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups. I have dedicated my life to ensuring that people get the best sleep ever. And in addition to owning a MyPillow, I can now sleep well at night knowing that you can all protect your savings with precious metals with Fisher Liberty Gold. With Fisher Liberty Gold, you can sleep well knowing that your retirement is secure. And if you call now, you're going to receive your very own presidential gold guide and qualify for up to $20,000 in free silver. But wait, there's more. Call now or text metals to 26786 to receive your presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty. And for a limited time, I will send you a free MyPillow for qualified accounts. This presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty will tell you exactly why you need to own gold even while Donald Trump is president. And just by calling in, you get a free MyPillow for a limited time for qualified accounts and up to $20,000 in free silver. So don't wait. Call 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today. That's 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today to receive your free MyPillow and up to $20,000 in free silver.
Meet Biden-appointed DIA Director holdover Jeff Cruz in today's Swamp Watch. Well, the current director is the same as the old DIA director under Joe Biden. His name is Lieutenant General Jeff Cruz, and according to our sources, he's busy protecting the intelligence community and causing problems with report sharing information regarding the most unsecure election in history. So let's get a little history on Director Cruz. In June 2023, Cruz was appointed by then President Joe Biden as the next director of the Defense Intelligence Agency. Then on December 11th, 2023, Cruz's appointment as the new director of the DIA was confirmed by the U.S. Senate. He took office on February the 2nd, 2024, when he officially assumed the position as the director of DIA. And he noted Also in 2024, in this veiled statement right after the 2024 election to a room of government and contracts boots for hire, that they probably weren't very thrilled with the outcome of the election.
But based on somehow inadvertently being your first speaker after the U.S. elections, I would offer, I'm suddenly realizing why this date was open, and that I'm now questioning my sense of timing in speaking events. But actually, I think my team was absolutely right. The work we are all doing together is important. It's relevant to every administration.
And according to our sources, Director Cruz has been keeping important intelligence related to the 2020 election from being widely disseminated to the community at large. Our friend Patrick Burm confirmed that, quote, this man is protecting the CIA from exposure in their role in the Russia hoax. John Brennan was behind the Russia hoax, says Byrne, adding, I promise, I was there. And by protecting Brennan, by proxy, DI Director Jeff Cruz would also be protecting Hillary Clinton. But with the latest bombshell related to the Durham report, Clinton's role in the genesis of the Russiagate hoax is coming more into focus. Kara Castronova did a quick little video about that as an explainer from the White House. Watch.
Bombshell revelation that the mainstream media is ignoring. Newly declassified intelligence confirms that Hillary Clinton herself approved a covert operation allegedly devised by her aide, Julianne Smith, to fabricate the Trump-Russia collusion and unleash it on the American public. This wasn't politics as usual. This was a coordinated plot to deceive voters, interfere in a U.S. election, and cripple a duly elected president. Democrats love to scream about threats to our democracy, yet here we have the real threat, a calculated disinformation campaign designed to undermine the very foundation of our republic. Julianne Smith, the co-architect of the hoax, was later rewarded with a Biden administration post. That's not justice, that's corruption institutionalized. And Hillary Clinton, she holds no office. Therefore, she has no presidential immunity, though you can bet she sure wishes she did.
And I'm sorry that we did not win this election.
Do you think that the DOJ will investigate Hillary? Will justice finally be served? Will they finally lock her up? Reporting for LindellTV at the White House, I'm Kara Castronova.
And Kara Castronova joins us outside the White House for more. I love the end of that. And will he this time lock her up? As you noted, she's never was and is never going to be president. So she does not enjoy quote unquote presidential immunity, Kara. That was a great point.
It's a point that I've thought about. I know that everybody's, hoping Obama will be arrested, and maybe he will, but he might get that immunity, but Hillary Clinton won't. And I think if there's anyone more disliked than President Obama, really by a lot of the people in this country, it's Hillary Clinton. For obvious reasons, she was able to just escape the law and justice for so long. And people like to say, oh, it's been 8 years and things like this. But obviously, nobody's above the law, as the Democrats like to say. And as more information is emerging, and I'm planning on reading that 29-page annex report over the weekend on the beach. That's some beach reading for me, really, to dive into this more and see what more we can extract from this story on Hillary Clinton. It's just interesting that finally, hopefully, Hillary Clinton will be investigated by the Department of Justice. I do think that is coming.
You know what? It sounds like you and I have the same kind of beach reading, Kara. That's the kind of relaxing reading I line up for my weekends by the pool as well. People will come up to me, oh, what are you looking at? What are you reading? I'm like, you don't want to know. Trust me, you don't want to know. It'll depress you. But it's interesting that this Durham report, the annex, which was apparently meant for the Byrne files, right, is now emerging. I had long said that nothing would come of the Durham investigation. It was just meant to stall for time. It was meant to give the intelligence community, especially Brennan et al., cover. We're also learning a lot more about John Brennan, according to now two of our well-known sources that we can openly refer to them. This is the former DIA Director, General Michael Flynn. You heard what I said about the current one. I don't know why he's still there, considering he's a Biden holdover, and I'm being told he's causing quite a few problems, specifically as it relates to the revelation of the Russiagate hoax and the intelligence community, specifically the CIA's involvement in it. And a lot of that is because, Kara, John Brennan still has loyal foot soldiers that he embedded in these positions in particularly the CIA, but in other areas of the intelligence community. So there is a fight for accountability, right? Because right now there's still an internal fight. What else can you tell us about this?
Well, there's all of these nefarious figures that I really want to look into, like Julianne Smith, who obviously was the one that came out that basically cooked up this crazy plan with Hillary, and Hillary approved it. There's DNC Chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was in on this. Leonard Bernardo, Open Society, the organization founded and funded by George Soros. So all of these people are in these emails discussing this plot to basically, for the most part, commit election interference, obviously discredit President Trump, cook up lies about Putin and Trump's relationship. All of these things that they really just accused President Trump of doing, they were doing the whole time. And it's just crazy. And I found that video. I don't know if you still have that or if we have time to play it. There was a video that Hillary Clinton, I just came across when I was doing a search, speaking on stolen elections, and she was just being a sore loser really after 2016, sort of alluding to the fact that there could have been insecurities in the 2016 election, and then just basically speculating on the 2020 election and how that election could possibly be not the most secure election. It's almost like a precursor. So if you guys have that video, I just thought it was so interesting because there's a lot of things that did happen.
We're actually running out of time, Kara, but I know you're going to share this reporting in DC Live, and over the next few days, you're going to be breaking down these bad actors after you do your beach reading this weekend. So I'll tell our audience to tune into DC Live every day at 1 p.m. It immediately follows my noon show. We're out of time, but people can catch you in DC Live. Thank you so much, Kara. Trump's trade and tariff successes has even the naysayers at the New York Times having to sing Donald Trump's praises. We have more of that after the break.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at NirvantaHealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to NirvantaHealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally. If you want to feel and look your best, you need to check out Pure Health Research. They have 45 premium health supplements that are designed to help you with everyday health goals. Whether it's boosting your energy or trimming belly fat, supporting healthy blood sugar, pumping your testosterone up, or even reducing swelling in your legs, Pure Health Research Supplement Store has you covered. Each formula is crafted with natural, non-GMO ingredients, backed by clinical research and manufactured right here in the USA. And here's the best part. Pure Health Research is offering you an exclusive 35% discount. Just go to purehealthresearch.com and use promo code Lindell at checkout. With their 365-day money-back guarantee, there's nothing to lose. So head over to purehealthresearch.com now, explore their 45 amazing supplements, and save 35% before this deal ends with promo code Lindell.
In what was surely written with gritted teeth, the New York Times has written a piece detailing how President Donald Trump is winning the trade war. You know, the trade wars, we were told, were never going to amount to anything but catastrophe for the U.S. Congressman Tom Tiffany of Wisconsin recently tweeted that, quote, President Trump has announced historic fair trade deals with South Korea, Japan, Indonesia, the Philippines, United Kingdom, the European Union, and Vietnam. These agreements will lead us to a stronger, more prosperous America, said Representative Tiffany. Interestingly, Trump has also threatened the Russian Federation with additional sanctions and tariffs, including threatening to tariff any nation such as India or China that does business with Russia in a bid to force Vladimir Putin to come to the negotiation table. Here again, the media has been proven wrong. President Trump is far from a Russian agent of influence, and that's the absolute truth. Now, as President Trump does enact his tariff policy and works to bring manufacturing and jobs back here to the United States, well, there's one company that already supports that effort and has for years, and that's the good folks over at MyPillow.com. So if you want to support business here in the USA, if you want to support manufacturing here in the USA, you can already do that by going to MyPillow.com and using your promo code TRUTH. That's also how you support us, bringing you the absolute truth every single day. There's a ton of great products over there. Mike is always offering great sales. I will let you know, though, that my favorite product, the moccasins, the My Slipper moccasins, are not long for this world. So if you want to go get my favorite product, right now is the time to do so. Go to the MyPillow.com, use your promo code TRUTH, support manufacturing right here in the United States, and support us continuing to bring you the absolute truth right here every day on LindellTV.com. We appreciate you. We love you, our audience, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend. See you right back here on Monday, and that's the absolute truth.